I think we're always open for business, particularly as we get close to the trade deadline. We're always buyers. We're always trying to position ourselves to be the best that we can be this year. But that not only applies to the secondary that you asked about, I'm sure that applies to all three phases of the game.
Mike Tomlin foreshadowing. We're buyers. Could add to the defense, and that they do. Kyle Duggar and a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-round pick. Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette joins us now to discuss. Ray is brought to you by the Western PA Injury Attorneys of LGKG, serving as your home team for over 90 years. LGKG.com. Good morning to you, Ray. How you doing?
Good morning, Adam. I'm doing well.
I'm happy to hear that. I understand that you won't be at the nipple piercing tonight, unfortunately.
No, and Harry said he's going to be there, but he's a little bit squeamish, so I don't know. I don't have any piercings. Is there like blood involved, or?
I would imagine that the nipple bleeds. Harry, do nipples bleed? Of course they do.
Nipples bleed, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Of course they bleed, because haven't you ever seen people, now that I'm thinking about it, do a marathon, and they'll be like at the 23-mile mark, and they're just bleeding down their shirts because their nipples are chafing? Nobody wanted to respond to that? That's fine. Ray, the Steelers trade for Kyle Duggar. Can he, A, jump on a moving train, and B, how do you think they'll utilize him?
Yeah, well, listen, he's 6'1", 216. He certainly fits that mold of a run-stopping strong safety that they need with Deshaun Elliott out. And it's interesting. I was looking at his turnover production. You know, it was earlier in his career, Adam, but he's got 9 career interceptions. 2 have been returned for touchdowns, and he's got, a few strips, forced fumbles as well. So at one point, he was a playmaking safety as well. And it's just interesting how things work around the NFL. We saw Jabril Peppers come here early in the season. He kind of fell out of favor in New England just because Mike Vrabel's there now and he's got a new defense, or he just wants his safeties to play in a different manner. And the same thing happened to Kyle Duggar. Now, Duggar's 29 years old. He's not a young guy, but...
Oh, he's young for them.
Well, yeah. But also, Adam, if you look around that safety room, Chuck Clark was 3 steps behind Tucker Kraft on that touchdown late in the game. Peppers, they haven't used him much. Thornhill is kind of who he is. I mean, I do think Duggar, if he could pick up the defense quickly, is probably going to have a chance to be a starter, because I do think Elliott is going to be out for a while. It's great news that it's not season ending.
Yeah.
But I still think he's going to be out for a while.
Peppers played 13 snaps on Sunday night against the Packers. Last year, they bring in Mike Williams at the deadline. He has 9 catches for 135 yards in 8 games, so a smidge over 1 catch a game. They brought in Preston Smith, and he played about 14% of the snaps. Do you think that Duggar's going to play defensively this week? With Peppers, his first action was on special teams. How long do you think it takes, I guess, for him to fold into this thing?
But didn't Peppers in that New England game actually play a lot, and he forced a fumble? So maybe it happens the following week in Los Angeles. What I do know, Adam, is they have a big need at safety. I don't think like Chuck Clark or Peppers, based on what I've seen in the last 6 weeks or so, I don't know if they're going to trust either of those guys to be full-time starting strong safeties. Now, maybe they divvy up the labor, here on Sunday just because Duggar is new and he's learning the defense. But, I think you'll see a number of different guys in the mix this week. But I do think eventually, as I said, if he could pick up the defense, I think they have designs on him likely being a starter down the road.
Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette joining us on the Fan Hotline, presented by Sullivan Super Service, Pittsburgh's trusted plumbing and HVAC provider for over 50 years. I think the number one thing Deshaun Elliott brings to the table is his violence, the way he comes downhill. He's one of the better box safeties in the NFL. He's instrumental in the run defense. But then secondly, the communication, which isn't good anyway, seems to go to hell in a handbasket with him not out there. Now you're going to throw another safety into the mix. And I wonder how much Jalen Ramsey is going to be playing free safety. And they got a whole bunch of moving parts. And then you take on Shane Steichen. I'm not liking how this is adding up, Ray.
No, if you listen to Mike Tomlin yesterday, he did mention how when you have guys moving around, it does affect the communication. And can Jalen Ramsey do it? sure, Jalen Ramsey can do it, but do you want to limit just him to playing free safety? Because they have used him in the slot. They have used him in outside. And I don't think that maybe he could call the signals and get everyone lined up if it's in the slot, but that's not traditionally how it works. So, yeah, there's a big void there with Elliott out just in terms of getting those guys lined up right. And let's be honest, Adam, even when Elliott was out there, they weren't getting lined up right all the time.
Exactly right, which is my concern. Ray Fittipaldo joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. The Fan Morning Show is brought to you by Guardian Protection, your hometown home and business security company. So it was reported on Monday night by a couple of national outlets that the Steelers were signing Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Then Tomlin comes out and basically refutes that. Then Jerry Dulac, your colleague, reports yesterday that if the Steelers are getting something done with a wide receiver, it wouldn't happen until next week. What the hell's going on? What's your understanding of the situation, Ray?
Yeah, I think he was released. I don't know if it was with an injury settlement or what happened there, but I think he's still getting over an injury. So I think the plans are likely that he does come. But, Adam, I can tell you when he does come, he's going to jump on the practice squad. They're not just going to sign him to the 53-man roster. So I still think that's a possibility. But, like, if people have visions of MVS, like, stepping in and being a big part of things right away, I don't think that's going to happen at all. They're going to kind of onboard him with the practice squad. They'll see if he can carve out a niche. If he can, they'll probably activate him. But, yeah, he's not going to jump in and play right away if ever he does come.
If he does, is that the last move they'll make at wide receiver? Was this trade for Kyle Duggar the last move you think the Steelers will make before the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear with Elliott's injury, their first priority this week was to get a safety. So I think now Omar can probably concentrate a little bit more on making a deal for a receiver if that is indeed something that they deem necessary. The first half was good against the Packers. They kind of stalled and settled for field goals, as Tomlin mentioned. I actually think they're okay offensively. I think they have a number of weapons. It's not conventional. Like, it's not like, they can line up with 3 and 4 wides and be a dangerous team. That's not the way they're built. But if you just look at the scoring and compare them to other teams around the league, they're actually getting it done. They're not even middle of the pack. They're really kind of like a top 12, top 13 scoring offense.
They're 11th in scoring offense right now. Yeah. They're only 0.9 points away, Ray, from being a top 10 scoring offense in the league.
Yeah, so while other teams around the league are maybe doing it like at 3 and 4 wide sets, they're different, but they're actually been very productive. So I don't know if it's a front burner issue for them, but Omar, if there's a chance that he can help this team and give away a low draft pick again or a mid-round pick if it's a special player, I think he'll try to do it.
You mentioned the Steelers' unconventional ways on offense. A big part of that has been their extra offensive lineman package. Sayamalu may or may not play this weekend. We'll find out more today and in the coming days at practice. If he can't go, Spencer Anderson's going to play left guard. How do you think that affects their big old offensive line package?
Well, because they only dressed a few extra offensive line, Ryan McCollum performed those duties against the Packers. And I think he's only in there for a few plays. Yeah. So you do have McCollum, who's a guard and a center. He can do it. They also have a big guy by the name of Andrus Peat, who's got a lot of experience as a starter in this league. And he certainly, if you activate him, if Sayamalu was down, he's a big dude, and he could certainly perform those duties as well. So I think they're okay. Pete might be up this week. If he is, I would expect him to maybe get those duties. But I think McCollum is a vet too. If they asked him to do it, that'd be just fine too.
Ray Fittipaldo with us here on the Fan Morning Show. Ray, Terrell Austin has come under a ton of fire, including a couple of questions asked of Mike Tomlin about Terrell Austin in the press conference yesterday. And there's all kinds of fighting on social media. You correct me if I'm wrong in this. So Keith Butler came on our station and talked to the PM guys and said he didn't call the defensive plays. He also said the same thing to Jerry Dulac. But it is my understanding that Terrell Austin calls the defensive plays. Is that what's going on?
Listen, Mike has his hands in the defense.
Of course.
I can't sit here and tell you like Mike is calling every single play or that Terrell is calling every single play. But when it comes to the game plan, Mike is deeply involved. And I think when there are got-to-have-it situations in games, Mike is weighing in. So
Yeah.
I don't know the breakdown. I'm not, I'm not privy to the details of how it's being worked out.
And they like it that way. They don't want anybody to know their operation.
Yeah. But, I think everyone knows that ever since Dick LeBeau left on, Mike has had a big hand in the defense, and I can tell you that's certainly continuing this season as it always has.
That being said, Terrell Austin still has a big say, no? I mean, he is the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's working under the guidelines that Mike wants him to work under. He's designing things in the manner Mike wants. But yeah, I mean, he's got to put it together. He's got to coach these guys up. I mean, there's only so much Mike can do. But yeah, certainly he's coordinating the defense. And, if you're going to criticize Mike, you certainly have the right to criticize Terrell as well.
Ray, my pap used to say that football's a funny sport with a weird-shaped ball. That's about the only thing I think the Steelers have going for them on Sunday, that weird things tend to happen in the NFL. Because I look at the matchup, and as bad as the Steelers rank statistically in pretty much every category on defense, I think it's going to look worse when we're looking at those statistics on Monday. How do they slow down this elite offense that the Colts are bringing to town with a head coach who has always seemed to have Mike Tomlin's number?
Yeah, I mean, they're a juggernaut. Who thought they would have been a juggernaut with Daniel Jones at quarterback? I was looking at the NFL stats yesterday. 33.8 points per game. That's a full 3 points more than any other team in the NFL. They scored 30 or more 6 out of 8 games. So, yeah, the Steelers' defense has to step up at them, and maybe they will. But I know one thing. If the Steelers don't score 27, 30, 33 points in this game, they're not going to win because that Colts offense is going to find a way with Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Pierce, all those guys. They got some great weapons over there on offense.
Ray, this was wonderful. You're a wonderful man. I'm sorry we won't see you at the nipple piercing, but we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Adam. See you.
See you, buddy. That is Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette.